over 10 years. So we are talking of a typical middle class upper caste,
and Brahmanical.
Yeah. So although they were in a sense trying to break out of the Brahmanical or Brahmanism shackles, but the audiences were not. I mean, those were the audiences. Now, as I said, two reasons. One is that middle class was very homogeneous. It was Brahmanical. And the texture of middle class has changed. Like Pawan Verma sir, they or I don't need in fact to go in detail. The kind of middle class we have after
independence,
1990s. I mean from 47 to say
80.
80 was a different kind of middle class, and maybe after 85 till now. Now the play you saw, that is just now. I mean, that is the middle class now. It is totally desensitized. I mean, how many people come to theatre at all?
Right.
So that is one thing. But at the same time, because of that, in a sense, ironically, the middle class has become more inclusive also. It is not now limited to the Brahmins or the upper caste. So now it is more, and now we have, in a sense, succumbed to the late capitalist
forces,
thinking and values. And if somebody is poor, then it is their responsibility. That kind of it just, we want to go ahead. Like in the introduction, I had said that life में कोई भी हो यार, life में आगे निकलना है. Now, if that is the whole thing, then experimental theatre becomes very difficult to reach out to these audiences. And when we try to, we get different smaller groups. There are niche groups for nearly every writer that is there writing after 85 or 90. They are happy. Not that they are not happy with other writers. Say somebody who is a fan of Shafat Khan may not like Raju Naik's plays, or he will say that yes, they are good, but you see, that kind of, like everybody would say no, Kashiram is great. No.
Interestingly, you mentioned two names who are still active: Shafat Khan and Ajib Nayar. Shafat Khan is considered the face of Marathi theatre, at least in Bombay. Whenever a seminar takes place, he is among the people who is considered among the stalwarts of contemporary Marathi theatre. Now, he is more rooted in Bombay now. Now, this Bombay-Pune rivalry, how is it is being played out these days? Because Pune had this tendency of ignoring or removing Bombay from the whole vision of Maharashtrian theatre.
Well, I wouldn't say that really, because Bombay housed our people from, say, experimental theatre like Tendulkar or his directors Vijay Mehta or Arvind Deshpande. They all lived in Bombay. Dubey, of course, was in Bombay. Pune had a very different set of people, like Varekar, Jabbar Patel, Mohan Agashe, kind of. So, and they did Tendulkar's plays. They did Pule Deshpande's plays. Pule Deshpande stayed at both the places. He was staying initially in Bombay and then in Pune. So nowadays what has happened is that in Bombay, Marathi theatre, experimental theatre, virtually doesn't exist. Virtually doesn't exist. I mean, you mentioned Shafat Khan.
In spite of
they have not written
NCPA being there.
No, NCPA is not supporting at all. I mean, I remember my plays in 86, or not in 86, not that back, but even till late 90s, for experimental plays, NCPA used to give us 5,000 rupees per play, just for performing. And then the collection would be divided half off. So if we did 2 plays, by 1990 standard, we would get 10,000 and plus a little bit on the seat sharing. Now, NCPA doesn't give any money. In fact, they charge for one night for an experimental play 75,000 rupees.
So there is no point.
There is no, and people don't turn up. When my plays were there, which were supposed to be extra experimental, people used to come in 1990s.
But
now
in those days, Vijaya Mehta was there. She was spearheading NCPA. She was sponsoring and pushing the youngsters.
No, in fact, it is the other way around.
Really?
In fact, it was before Vijaya Mehta, when Ranade was there.
Okay.
It was that time. In
80s,
fact, Vijaya Mehta,
90s.
90s.
Also 90s.
Also 90s. Vijaya Mehta came, I think, late 90s or early 2000s. That time. In fact, Ranade, my first two plays, Ranade had invited me. I was a young chap, and he had invited a young chap and said that, yes, you come to NCPA, we would like to record two of your plays in your voice. The player readings, and there were extensive interviews which are now in the archives of NCPA. Now, under Vijaya Mehta, I was doing a documentary on Tendulkar, which was, I think, seen a few days back here. When I went to make that documentary, we had to go to the archives of NCPA. We were denied entry to the archives, etc., etc. Then we found an old library and found out Tendulkar's letters and everything. At that time, I told them that, can I see my own recordings? My own recordings have been done in 86, and I want to hear them, and if possible, I want to have short clips. They said, no, you first apply to hear your recordings, your own recordings, and we cannot give you the clips because you may use them commercially. I said that, first of all, nothing of mine can be used commercially. And secondly, I can give another interview commercially if I want. It's my own interview. So that's what happened in NCPA.
That tells a lot about the distancing between the artist and the art connoisseurs, right? If you call NCPA art connoisseurs.
No, it is NCPA is gone as far as Marathi.
But there have been other connoisseurs as well. For example, the Kala Ghoda. The whole festival circuit, the hall, it used to promote experimental theatre in a big way. What has happened to them since the 1990s?
No, there were different things, like Prithvi Theatre under Sanjana Kapoor. We used to go there and perform, and we used to have packed audiences. After Sanjana left, Prithvi is nearly dead for experimental Marathi theatre. It is going on Hindi and English, that too mostly commercial. As far as Kala Ghoda is concerned, in fact, festivals have changed
their style.
Now there is something like festival culture that has seeped in. I just spoke in Karnataka at Hegodu that even in Marathi now there is even in Marathi experimental theatre, now there is a straight division. One is catering to national festivals. And they are becoming more and more spectacular. It is spectacle. It is less and less content. People are not ready anywhere to go and listen and understand by the synopsis given in their hand a play from a different language. They want more dance, more visuals, more. I mean, I'm not against the visuals. I've spoken in my lecture also earlier that earlier Marathi directors were so tied down by what has been written by the writer, Baba Vakyam Pramanam, that it was irritating. They did not bring any different vision. But now it has changed so much that the director's name comes first and the writer's name comes after that. So never so in Marathi.
So the playwright is no longer the center.
Now the playwright is no longer center. Director has taken over. Director, I don't mind director, he or she taking over if there is some content. Now what we see in most of the festivals, I mean Barangam was opened by my play Surya Payanas, or we have performed at Nandikar or Meta or whatever. They are getting more and more towards visual spectacles and less towards content.
Okay. Now we have just heard a play's name, Surya Pahalila Manus, the man who saw the sun. It's a play. I did the Bengali translations of this play recently. Now we saw this play in Kolkata in the early 1990s.
Late 1990s.
Late 1990s, in 95 or 96, I think. And his good friend Atul Pethe was the director, and the famous actor thespian Sriram Lagu played the lead role. Now there also had been a star thespian culture in Maharashtra. What has happened to the people like Sriram Lagu? Lagu is not there. But what has happened to the people who followed their suit? Now there are Mohan Agashe, for example, or the next generation of actors. Do the people go to the theatres watching famous actors on stage, or do they have any pull to bring actors, inspire the writers and to directors to fashion a model, a play around them?
No, I think to a certain extent the total culture has changed. In a sense, in fact, even for, I would say, for Dr. Lagu, for years together he was not available for Marathi stage. When he went to Marathi cinema after Nata Samrat and all, those were probably a decade and a half or 2 decades when he was not available on the Marathi stage. Now he played the Surya Pahalila Manus when he was 74, 75. Amol Palekar hasn't done anything on stage. Mohan Agashe has come back to stage, but there is another very peculiar thing happening, is that there is something like middle theatre coming in Maharashtra, and that is they bring it, they stage the play as an experimental play in smaller spaces, like 100 people, 150 people, 200 people. They are not experimental plays, really. They are regular commercial plays. But because they can't get immediate finance, they bring it there. So then they get awards on that stage. There are many plays. Then the same play goes to the commercial stage. Then that same play goes to USA to play to the Marathi diaspora audiences there.
I see.
And this circuit has been developed, let me say, on camera by Mohan Agashe.
I see.
And he is doing virtually those kind of plays.
So he is still active.
Not now.
In that circuit.
Till last year he was doing that. Now his health has unfortunately not supporting him. Yeah.
Okay. Your good friend Atul Pethe is very close to us, and he has been coming to Kolkata very often. And he has been, I saw him collaborating with the producers of Marathi theatre who present his plays, be it a Mohan Rakesh play like Ashar Ka Ek Din or other plays written by him. And there is, at least seems, huge investment of money in those plays, and they are showcased in Delhi, in Kolkata. What has happened to plays which are directed by able people and financed by the big investors?
Actually, Atul's plays are not I know that personally. He is a good friend of mine. So Atul's plays are not being invested by any big investor at all. He invests his own money or gets crowdfunding or whatever. There is no big. The last big play that we staged by was Surya Pahalila Manus. Otherwise, all his plays are now. All his plays now are doing reasonably well. They go for 50 shows, 75 shows, but not more than that. And at a huge personal
investment and loss.
Investment, expense, loss. And he, in my opinion, I mean, that's where we parted ways a bit, though we are still very close friends. He, how shall I put it. Not that the plays that he does are bad, they are not really exploring the borders. They are not really stretching the borders. Staging Ashar Ka Ek Din again in a very similar way, with virtually no reinterpretation of it.
But sometimes he is trying to play on the Amchi Maharashtra pride, playing play on a play like Satyashodhak, which is on the Fuller family, and there are other plays like the editor of a magazine who promoted the sex education. Right. Now, what is the response of these plays in places like Pune, which had been a hotbed of experimental theatre?
For Satyashodhak, there has been huge response.
His response.
Yeah, but that is because of number of things. That was he did that for the Safai Kamgar of Pune Municipal Corporation. But then there is huge amount of political build-up around it, in the sense that there was huge controversy on it also. There was huge criticism of it also, because that play was advertised as play done by Pune Municipal Corporation menial workers, and all the main roles were played by outsiders, not by menial workers. Those menial workers were given full 1 year's leave for that. They had a free bus. They had a 3-storied free area for rehearsals. Many a times, government offices or government servants were asked to go to see the play today. And I've heard that even their signing musters were kept in the auditorium that they have seen those plays. I don't mind doing this, but he to a certain extent entered a political arena with an attitude of an activist in theatre, and not going to the extent of, say, Abdul Hashmi. It's a halfway street. That yes, it's a political play, yes, it's a journey, but it's again, like I said in the experimental play, that the experimental plays that he has staged. Now, is Ashar Ka Din an experimental play anymore?
No, at all.
It is not. In the same way, in the political, if you take his political plays do not go to the extent of, say, Hashmi's plays. They go halfway through, and so you get audiences, you get the support, and I mean there was a play written by me on RTI. In fact, I studied all that, and it was done actually for a film, and then it was converted into a play. And Atul did that with all the farmers of a small village.
Achha.
So these kind of experiments are very interesting. They do take theatre forward, but are they making any real change in theatre practices? They are not. They come after, say, one play after 3 years, kind of a thing. He at a very great personal.
I admit that one play can't change the thing, but is there a kind of ecosystem in Maharashtra which can produce plays like this? For example, Atul did a play on the languages a few years back, using projections in a big way, and that was, we found this fantastic in terms of presentation. Now, there seems to be an ecosystem which can support and produce plays like this. Now, what are the other products of such an ecosystem?
No, only Atul has been able to work this out commercially. Not commercially, at a great loss to himself. It is not a commercially successful production, though he is able to perform. What he did was, and that was an excellent, I mean, he is an institution in himself, in a sense. He has cultivated people by doing taking workshops and all that in smaller cities all over Maharashtra. And he is able, as I said, by doing by doing a political plays or this kind of plays, which can attract today's non-radical political audience.
Okay.
Non-radical middle class audience, which is a great achievement in itself. But there is no such ecosystem, there is no such other person who is able to do that. He has built a structure and a system by which he is able to do those plays on his own. Now, will he be able to do the kind of absolute borderline or limits pushing experimental radical plays in the same way? He won't be able to. He accepts that. I've asked him that whether you will be able to do the kind, say one of our plays was called Thombia, Mutt. It was, we did that in 96. I asked him, will you be able to do that as successfully, say for 75 shows or 50 shows like you are doing in the case? He says, no, I have to step down a bit.
And also scale it down further.
Scale, not monetarily, scale it down as far as content is concerned. Scale it down as far as experimentation is concerned. Scale it down as far as radical politics.
Your city has changed a lot in the last 40 years. Many people from other states are staying there permanently. But they do have a need for being entertained in the evening other than seeing cinemas or the cell phones. But why this ecosystem is not getting spread? Because it seems that the corporation has ears for the thespians. It seems that the state is very, very, supportive to some extent. I know that the state theatre competitions are dead almost, but why this new audience, new multicultural, multi-ethnic, multilingual audience are not getting a theatre in the evenings?
You mean theatre in Hindi or English or in Marathi? Because multicultural, multilingual audiences don't come to Marathi theatre. So if you are talking about Hindi and English, then that exists to a certain extent in Bombay, with Prithvi being the center, and to a certain extent NCP
as well.
And as you said, Atul Kumar is doing some of his plays in, say, Panvel or some other places. But I have not again seen many of those plays, but they are entertainment plays. They are very smart plays. Atul Kumar's plays are very smart plays, excellent technique, very smart dialogues, witty. But at the end of the day, when I see that play, I am not provoked into any thought. I am not provoked into any thinking. I am not provoked. I enjoy, or say, those 2 hours. Go home. Neither do I lose sleep, nor do I.
You mean that Shakespeare play he did?
Which Shakespeare? I don't really remember.
Twelfth Night.
I don't remember which play I saw. I saw a couple of his plays. There may be some other plays, because I can see only when he comes to Pune. So whatever plays I saw, they were very smart, very polished, very posh performances, very witty, etc., etc. Good entertainment.
Okay. Now, what about these theatre schools and the departments of theatre in the universities? Bombay, Maharashtra has many theatre departments. Alika started one, and there are others now.
There, so I know they are all catering for TV. Only TV. Students come out with some enthusiasm for theatre. It is not possible to survive in theatre anymore in Maharashtra at all, even for an actor, unless you go to commercial theatre.
But or do Hindi theatre?
Or do their Hindi is bad. Most of the catchment areas from official areas, their Hindi is not acceptable even in Maharashtra. Some people do go to Hindi theatre, but even Hindi theatre, just yesterday I came here and I was on airport with Mohit Takarkar, who is now performing mostly in Hindi and English.
He is coming.
He was telling me yesterday on airport, that Hindi theatre in Maharashtra is impossible commercially. He being very popular, if he gets a full house of 250 in a medium-sized auditorium, he suffers losses of 15,000 rupees. You have, when the Gashiram was being done, how much was being paid even to Mohan Agashi? Nothing. Now a person who operates lights takes 2,000 rupees a night. The minimum expenditure per play yesterday, quoted by Mohit Takarkar, for a medium-sized auditorium was around 80,000 to 90,000 per show. So even if you get full house, and Marathi theatre cannot charge more than 200 rupees per seat.
That low?
So yes. And so he says that if I get a full house, even for Hindi productions, and he's quite popular all over India now, and he has staged 2 or 3 of my shows, plays, he suffers a loss of 15,000 rupees. Yesterday he has quoted that figure to me.
Now that brings us to another moot question, that Dalit theatre is one idea that really prospered out of Maharashtra and spread across India in various ways, not in Bengal to some extent, but in other parts of Maharashtra and South India, of course. Now, how are they faring now?
Extremely bad.
Extremely bad.
Nothing is happening. Premanand has been trying to take workshops of new writers. Now he enthusiastically says that I've got these 2 new writers, these 3. I have attended those workshops. See, again the problem that I tried to state in my paper. See, Dalit politics has become so complex now. There are at least 12 Republican parties in Maharashtra. Some of them are with BJP, some of them are with Shiv Sena, some of them are sticking to Congress. Prakash Ambedkar, every election, one election he is with MIM, one election he is with NCP. One Mayawati has tried to do social politics where Brahmins and Dalits were brought together to fight OBCs. And so many, now we have a Dalit share market kind of a thing. So capitalism and so many Dalits now doing well. The last fantastic Dalit play was Vata Vata in Marathi, written by Datta Bhagat. It was a fantastic play, and he showed exactly this, the politics of 3 generations of the Dalits, and how the 3rd generation is getting frustrated, corrupt, violent, depressed.
It's a recent play?
No, it was written in 86.
Okay.
So at that time it had happened.
Oh, so now
that was the last good Dalit
generation
play.
has
Now that last good Dalit play there. You remember in Jaipur Literary Festival, I was in one kind of a session, and I forget his name, the great sociologist. He was in another, and he said that
Ashish Nandi?
Yeah, Ashish Nandi. And what roar it caused by his comments on the conditions of Dalit politics and Dalit corruption and etc., etc., etc. If Dalit theatre is not ready to meet this, and it is difficult to meet, like I said in my paper, that even for upper caste, it is very difficult to meet the challenging multipolar complex reality of today. And it has to take into account, I mean, the earlier, I told you that the Hollywood play had the 6 lakh in audience. But if you see that the Hollywood play, it is a very simple, straight, bipolar play. Dalits, we are being oppressed by Brahmins, and the Brahmanism at least, etc., etc., etc. Now that doesn't work. If your main leader is sitting next to a Brahmin leader and working out Brahmin politics, then it is not going to work. It is not easy anymore to point a finger at one enemy.
There used to be a time when the Marathi plays were also read and published in the papers and the magazines. Right?
Now, when I started writing till nearly 2005 or at least till 2000, every good Marathi newspaper, Lok Satta, Maharashtra Times, Lokmat, Sakar, had a dedicated theatre reviewer, and every week one day was kept by every last selling good newspaper for at least half a page criticism of Marathi plays, and that included extreme experimental plays as well. Now there is not a single paper who covers any theatre at all, including commercial theatre. Very rarely Lok Satta would have one small 2-column thing once in a month, but no other paper. And even that is restricted now to commercial stage, and that also once in a month occasionally. And that is also written by a journalist on their payroll, not a separate reviewer.
So far we have seen a very
bleak picture of it.
Dismal picture of Maharashtrian theatre. But there are places like, say, Nagpur, Sholapur, which, promised a good theatre. For example, Elkunchwar is still in Nagpur, right?
How many plays of Elkunchwar were ever staged in Nagpur? Ever, not now.
So they
were staged by Vijay Mehta in Bombay. They are now staged by Chandrakant Kulkarni in Bombay.
And Sohakshan in
and not in Nagpur. So this is to certain extent a myth that all centers were doing very well. But yes, till nearly 1990s, small places had reasonably interesting groups performing, especially Kolhapur, Sholapur, Pratyek group was there, Sholapur another group was there, Aurangabad, etc. etc. Now Aurangabad, now 3 or 4 major theatre people like Chandrakant Kulkarni or Prashant Darvi or Ajit Darvi or from Aurangabad, they are not staying in Aurangabad for last 40 years. They have shifted to Bombay because they have to work in films, in TV to survive as creative practitioners. From Aurangabad they can't do anything.
I know of another person from Pune, Vidyanidhi Vanarase Prasad, an NSD graduate and very good entrepreneur, actor in films as well. He has, and he is still trying to, associate other countries, bringing in groups from European countries, other Asian countries to promote a theatre culture which is experimental in code, and I have seen him staging plays all across India as well. Now, are they real takers for his kind of efforts?
He's doing work all over India in a sense. He just now staged a play in Hegudu. In Karnataka. He is doing IPAR festival in Pune for last
IPAR is doing very well otherwise because it gets words about Indian theatre across. Because IPAR is only one festival of India which is acknowledged by the International Theatre Institute, because he is also an executive body member of ITI. But what's the problem?
See, the problem in my opinion is, to be really frank, from Atul Pethe to Vidyanidhi Vayanarase, is to how to attract audience. And the way out that they have, at least these two have chosen. Vidyanidhi very openly said in his interview at Hegudu that I don't mind coming down in terms of content or quality. I want audiences. I don't want to
has he been successful till date? Because it's
there is not a single play that he has done in Maharashtra which is done well at all. Not a single play. Okay. I mean, leave aside Gashiram Kotwal or anything. Here, I mean, my last play stage was Exit. It went for, I think, around 50 shows or something like that. Not a single play stage by Vidyanidhi, unfortunately, in Maharashtra, has gone for 50 shows. He has performed now at Hegudu, taking their theatre, what we call paid actors theatre, and they have a route. They go all over Karnataka and 50 shows, and they are popular in Bangalore also. He got good audience, etc., etc. But in Pune, Mumbai, Nagpur, Sholapur, none of his plays, and he is not alone. I mean, none of the Marathi plays doing really well. That is the problem. I am not singling him out. To say at least some success one person is getting, and that is Atul Pethe. But as I have said, he is not going to the radical extent. He has brought himself down to its content, whether political or experimental, in my opinion.
Is this because of this fall of the Soviet bloc, the socialist stream, and the huge flood of the capitalism all over us? If there is one single factor, you can...
One single factor, as I said in my
there is
complexity.
No one single factor.
There is no one single factor. It is extremely complex. This kind of... It is very difficult in theatre in 1.5 hours. With actors, I mean, what the writer has to communicate with the director with the actors, then the light decay, this and that, and with the other attractions of OTT and TV and all that. I mean, we cannot pay them anything. A third grade actor for OTT till last year. Now OTTs are also going down in a very bad way. But till last year, they used to pay at least 1.5 lakh rupees per month. He was or she was supposed to sit at home, be available 24 hours. Whenever the script arrived, whenever the main lead role actors were there, they were called on the phone and they were supposed to come there for 10 minutes, do their job, go home. We cannot pay them even for their tea or their travel to the auditorium.
Yeah.
So how will this kind of theatre
survive?
There is no audience. Mumbai doesn't get any audience at all for any. This is not only about NCP and Prithvi. What happened to Chabildas? My first plays were all in Chabildas, closed down. They changed the place then. They changed to a Mahim school. Nothing happened there. My first plays were staged by
Chabildas School Hall was the nerve center of experimental theatre in Maharashtra throughout the 70s and 80s.
My plays in 86, that 4 billion forgetful that we were talking about, was staged at Chabildas, and it had full houses at that time. Now, see, now we are seeing L&T persons saying work 90 hours a week, somebody saying 70 hours a week. In fact, in Pune and Mumbai, people now reach home at 9 o'clock at night.
So they don't have the...
It is impossible. Then you travel to an auditorium, go to an auditorium, book a ticket, go to an auditorium, see a play. if that play is serious, get troubled, your thought process starts that how I am living, why I am living like this when I am seeing a play like this, etc., etc., is not anymore possible. But still, I must say one thing, that Bombay serious theatre is nearly over. But Pune, some resurgence is there.
Really?
Yes, because now we have unbelievably 5 auditoriums. 5 good auditoriums, smaller size auditoriums, which house between 125 to 250. 5 auditoriums, and they are nearly booked at least 5 days a week with good plays.
Okay.
And this has happened in last 3-4 years. There was only one auditorium, Sudarshan, then another auditorium came in around 10 years back. Now for last 3-4 years, there are around 5 auditoriums of middle size, and they are doing reasonably well. But when we are just started to feel this feel-good factor, just last month, 3 of these auditoriums have started showing Marathi films, because Marathi films in theatre, because Marathi films are not getting multiplex screens.
Oh, I see.
So now very soon these 5 theatres will start starting Marathi
cinemas.
Yes.
Okay.
So
now
these up and down.
5 spaces, are they supported by the community or the people, individual sponsors, or by the corporates?
No, these 5 theatres have been started by individuals.
Individuals.
Yes.
Okay.
And because they come from theatre background, and they are running, one of them is supported by a trust established by a corporate, which is called Praj Foundation.
Okay.
They have supported that theatre. But
is there a CSR thing?
No. No, it's a trust.
Okay, trust.
Yeah, it's not, the company is not supporting, it's their personal trust that they have formed. But all other 4 theatres have been started, 3 of them by one family called Damles, 2 of them. One was sponsored by Dr. Lagu's family after Lagu expired, and it is named after him, Dr. Lagu, Shriram Lagu Auditorium, and that is doing very well. And new plays from outside Pune are also coming there. Our plays they are reasonably priced. They are easily accessible. They are centrally located, etc., etc. And they are not charging us like NCPR. Now this a theatre started in Bombay. It is impossible to say. They have clearly stated, they are not staging even Mohit Takarkar's plays. Mohit was told that no, your play is too political, we can't stage it. Now, if you think that Mohit's plays are radically political, so political that you can stage it, then your idea of political is really low. But that is not happening in the Pune. In Pune, these people are allowing us, encouraging us. At times, they have sponsored. In fact, they have produced 2 of my plays.
Fantastic.
So it is an encouraging side, but that is happening only in Pune. In Mumbai, in fact, Sunil Hanbag tried to stage one of my plays, and he came to Pune and he staged that I will now stage in Pune, because there are no performing spaces left in Bombay where I can come stage your play. He has his own place in Bombay, which houses around audience of 25. So how am I going from Pune, travel to Bombay, perform there, like 25 people, they will have to pay 10,000 rupees per head
to before we close. How do you sell your tickets now? Online platforms?
Yeah, online platforms. Book My Show, from Book My Show to, these young guys who are now participating in promoting and everything. Or the phone numbers are given, UPI payments are done, and we don't need, no newspaper except the Sakar, one newspaper in the Pune, even publishes the advertisements of theatre.
So it's all
social
Facebook?
media. Yeah, it's all social media.
And last thing, you said that you are not really, interested about other language theatres in Maharashtra, but this so-called decay in theatre culture in Marathi-speaking Maharashtra, does this anything to do with the decay in Marathi language status in the state of Maharashtra, the aggression of Hindi culture, the aggression of Anglophone culture, do they have a tremendous role to play in this decay?
Not impact of the outsiders in Maharashtra. It's the sheer impact of virtually all theatre has been a middle class activity, apart from Dalit theatre movement or workers' theatre movement or IPTA or something like that. It has been a middle class activity, whether Tendulkar or Ekar, you take anybody, Mohan Rakesh. The point is, the entire last 3 generations at least have been educated in English medium schools. There's only one school in Pune which is a non-corporation school, Marathi school, and is good Marathi school. Otherwise, even in Marathi government schools, not corporation schools, but Marathi old school where I got educated, Marathi medium schools, half of the subjects are taught in English.
So medium has switched.
Medium has been switched. They are not today's Marathi actors. I mean, my last 3 or 4 plays have been done by young generation people around 30s. They do Marathi plays. We really have to work on their diction. And they have not read. I have written 6 novels. I have written 18 plays and this Marathi history book. They stage my plays. They have not read anything of my work, not because they don't want to read, they can't read Marathi. They have not read only my work, they have not read any Marathi novel in their life.
So they are being groomed to be actors on
Marathi stage. So you see, the quality of speech is a different matter. If I am writing as a Marathi writer and their understanding, I give always one example. Not a single Marathi paper. I go to different literary festivals also, Jaipur Literary Festival. Why shouldn't any Marathi newspaper be interested in interviewing Pamuk? Any Nobel
They don't.
No, it's not. This is happening only in Kerala and Bengal. In Maharashtra, Marathi newspapers now have taluka editions. Every edition is different. And even Pune Bombay edition, this is not there. And not a single English newspaper publishes anything about Marathi culture. They do not publish news of who got the Sahitya Academy Award in Marathi this year, who got the Sangeet Natak Academy Award in Marathi this year. Leave aside a single play being reviewed.
Yeah.
So this is a total rupture. So what they read and what I am asking them to understand and perform are 2 entirely different things. Though they do get interested in our plays, my last 3 plays have been done, wonderfully done by them, young directors and young actors. But this bridge or this, how to bridge this gap?
Any question from the audience? Yes, Jairaj.
You need to relay the question because I'm not audible.
Sure.
So one is actually, I need to ask you, what kind of similarities or difference you found with Marathi theatre and Bengali theatre right now, like contemporary Marathi theatre, the scene he has pointed out. And what is your take? What are the differences or the similarities?
I'm very sorry.
I will ask him this question. You have asked me so many questions about Marathi theatre. Now I was very much interested in talking to him also. In my next trip, we may again gather here and talk about Bengali theatre, because we have been talking all the time about Marathi theatre. But I would really like to understand what is happening in Bengal. We were getting all these Badal Babus and all.
It was stuck in Badal Babu.
But we are not getting anything now from there. I am a close friend of Shamikda, but he hasn't suggested me a single new Bengali play to read.
No, because he doesn't follow today's theatre closely because of his age and other preoccupations, clearly. But the picture is very, very, not rosy, but very exciting here.
Okay, that's good to hear.
One very, very big number of people are still engaged in theatre. Youngsters, students are coming into theatre. Most of them are doing theatre in their mother tongue, Bengali.
That is very
they might be coming from other medium instructions, but they are doing theatre in their language, for their friends, for the people they know, and it is happening all across Bengal. Kolkata is, of course, the center, but Howrah, Chagda, Baharampur, Balurghat, Kolani, Govardhana, various parts of Hooghly. There are many, many groups and new young groups, groups formed and bolstered by the youngsters. They are writing their own scripts coming out from their everyday experiences. So a young theatre, and they have their own niches in Kolkata and outside. They're performing not at the Academy of Fine Arts per se, but other stages like the Gyan Manch, Osmium Arts Center, Natya Academy Hall. And thanks to the COVID-19 pandemic, experimental small size spaces like this one, these have opened up newer possibilities for what you say experimental theatre. The economics is still a problem area. There are grey zones how the tickets will sell, because these young theatre activities are mostly labor of love, right? They pay from their pockets, and some of these money they get collected from the sales in the counters. And apart from that, politically, Bengali theatre is not doing well, because similar things here, because there used to be a long period of left theatre in Bengal, starting from the Lavanno in the 1943 onwards, which saw a decline in the 1980s and 90s, and now there is hardly any left-leaning theatre. There are some experimental works, innovative works, doing good in the margins, like Joyraj is doing in his own way. There are some women directors who are trying to break the barrier in their own ways, but they are small fishes in the big pond so far, because they are not really part of the festival circuit, which controls the theatre economics in a big way. They are not siding with the ruling parties or the local area theatre czars, cultural czars, who supply the ideas for next theatre works or festivals. But in terms of quantity, we haven't seen such deluge of works of so many kinds.
One extension of this is that Maharashtra is suffering because Bombay is a center of TV, film,
industry,
OTT, industry.
Across India, yeah.
Now even the writers, a few years back, in a writer's room for an OTT platform, could be paid for one serial something like 20 lakhs, 25 lakhs. Now, as you said, the law of labor cannot fight that. Now, as I said, my light operator, if he is getting 10,000 rupees outside, why and how will I attract him?
By paying two.
For love of labor. It is not possible. See, everybody in a particular play cannot have that kind of investment, as much intellectual or emotional investment. I mean, the emotional or intellectual investment of a writer or a director or the lead players, etc., 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 a backstage work. How much will he sacrifice for cleaning up your stage?
There is one problem with theatre in Maharashtra. Bengali theatre groups, more than 400 Bengali theatre groups, they are enlisted with the salary grant scheme with the Ministry of Culture.
That we don't have.
Very few in Maharashtra.
No, nobody.
Very
few. No, nobody gets grants. There is no.
Okay. So that is one thing which has helped them going. They can play the technicians, the stage managers, however meager that amount could be, because some groups are getting, say, 1 lakh per month. Some groups are getting 40 per month. At least some groups are getting 20 or 30 per month. And that helped them keep going. And the theatre halls, the state government halls are hugely subsidized.
We don't have that. We don't have that at all.
I have a different take regarding this grant.
Phil.
He said that he avoids grants. Yes.
Actually, I was about to ask you, like, first in agricultural sector, that Ford Foundation grant came in
60s and 70s.
In Punjab, and that Green Revolution happened. And after that, after a certain point, they said that we are not going to provide any grant anymore. They stopped. And by that time, the rural farmers, agricultural persons, they got used to with that kind of farming. So they are dependent upon that kind of farming. They lost their traditional farming by that time. So what? So they got dependent on Ford actually. Ford withdrawn the support. Now they are dependent on that. Next, they came from agriculture to culture. They provided a huge amount of money to 10 people in India. We know all those names, big names, right? Like even like Panikkar, here Shauli Mitra and all. They got the
Theatre Academy.
Huge amount of money they got. And they provided few good works, definitely. But there is a parameter. They said it very clearly that you cannot do anything with the contemporary politics. They made it very clear that you need to do something with your ritualistic art form practice.
Culture, traditional culture.
Traditional culture, And again, after a certain point, they stopped providing grants. And we know, like person like Bongshikal, his group got collapsed because of this attack, I'll say.
Panikkars too.
So don't you think that even the government grant, last year, their policy was very clear. They asked a particular text to be performed, which is clearly, I won't mind to say, it is a BJP agenda. It's a very simple BJP agenda that you need to perform this kind of production, then only we will consider whether we are going to provide you the salary grant or not. One thing. And the second thing, like you were saying, we get salary grant, salary for the performers, salary for the theatre practitioners. But most of the time, in generally in Kolkata, in West Bengal, we malfunction this. We don't do this. The salary grant most of the time we use as production grant. We make productions out of it. So don't you think that this system is also going to collapse very soon?
Now, it is something on life support, very clearly. But there are thousands of groups who are doing theatre without this life support. There are central government grants, there are state government grants, but there are groups who refuse those grants for various reasons they have. But I believe the ecosystem is such, even if these grants stop, maybe one day, many groups will fall, crumble and shut their doors, but many others will sustain and many others will find other ways to sustain. Because the community support is there. People are coming to see theatres. People can pay, they are willing to pay 500 rupees to watch theatre from the 10th row. Right? His gurus are producing theatre which are selling tickets at rupees 1,000, 100 to 1,000. This is the stretch of tickets being sold, and these groups have also learned how to, how not to pay the entertainment taxes in various ways. So there are some dubious means to get this theatre logistics going. So theatre economics is something very fishy out here, but whenever the winter season comes, you will find thousands of theatre groups, lakhs of theatre people and lakhs of audiences are thronging all across Bengal, all over Bengal. And certainly Bengal is now paying some heed to traditional theatre as well, out in the open, in the angan, in the streets. Now street theatre is also getting a new kind of attention.
Okay.
So that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Makarand Sathe ji, for coming to Kolkata and exchanging views and your perceptions about contemporary Marathi theatre and the ills that are plaguing Marathi theatre at present.
Thank you very much to you and to Jaydeep and Saraj and his group, and for lending nearly a whole day to me. I am extremely thankful to all of you.
Come back again.
Yeah, I will
come soon.
Delightedly. And thank you.
Thank you.